All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. And this morning, I had the original rookie with me, my oldest daughter, Jessie.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Jessie.
Hi.
And I have to just forewarn all my listeners right now that we may have the final rookie do a guest appearance.
Ooh, the final rookie.
Yeah, that would be my grandson, Max, because I'm sure he might be coming around wondering what his mother's doing, okay?
Yeah.
So just in case you hear Mad Max coming around, we'll just deal with it and move on, okay?
It's true.
Today's episode is called How to Get a Real Estate Deal This Week Easily.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds a little bit like, what? In most people's head, but I promise you, it can be done. And I'm going to prove it to you today. Actually, I'm going to prove it to you in one sentence, and I'll let you know when I tell you that sentence.
Oh, boy.
Doing it Bill style today.
I dig it.
So, just in case you didn't catch the last podcast, which was episode 268, I would like to send out over the airwaves a big, fat thank you to Jessie, my oldest daughter, to Emma, my youngest daughter, and Sean, who's a partner of mine in one of my real estate businesses. The reason why the podcast for the last 4 or 5 episodes has been a little funky is because literally I went to bed one night, I woke up the next morning, thought I had the flu, and I was actually days after that hospitalized with COVID pneumonia. So in case you haven't experienced that, it's like one day life is normal and the next day you're in a hospital bed wondering if you're coming home. Okay? So I'm not going to say too much about that. All I'm going to say is I was not vaccinated. I will be now. So that's what I'm going to tell you. There's not much more to say about that. Okay? But I wanted to say thank you to the crew, what did I just mention, because they helped with the podcast. We did do some reruns. I apologize for that. But obviously, it was either do that or not have a podcast. So thank you. Thank you for kind of tolerating that during the podcast. I did some replays. I did the avoiding the real estate mafia. That's always a good one. And then I did another replay on selling properties, because that was always a good one. Okay. And I apologize for the cough. It kind of comes and goes. But I think that if you're listening and you're one of our avid listeners, I think you can get through all that. Okay. So let's carry on. The description for today is creative real estate is a tall promise for most until they see the math in use. That always changes their mind.
It's so true.
In fact, once you see all the opportunities possible when being creative in your deals, it often paralyzes most with overwhelm, because there's just so many ways you can do it, right?
There's more than one way to skin that cat.
Exactly. But today, I'm going to clear that fog with a simple plan that can and will get you a deal this week. Okay? My certainty on this comes from the many students before you, okay, who have followed this formula and it worked just as I am about to explain. Only reason the success is so high with this little formula that I have is because, let me catch up to myself, of the simplicity and the step-by-step format.
Absolutely.
Put those two things together and it's almost impossible. Okay? It is only natural, us humans, because we're the only ones that think we have a good idea.
It's true.
Right? No other animal on planet Earth does that except us.
It's true.
Right? It is only natural to us humans to learn in a gradient style that builds upon each step as we do it.
It's huge. It's so important.
Yeah. And you would know, you're a teacher.
I am.
Right? And in this episode, I plan to go over the steps you need to take to get a deal done and that profit check in your spending little paws.
Zip National Bank, baby.
Yeah. In my coaching group, we call it the shut up check. In other words,
Yes.
it's the check you get and you shut up all those naysayers that told you couldn't do it and you're crazy and why are you doing that?
Absolutely.
Right? Which, by the way, most of the time is family members.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you listen carefully and take notes. You're not going to want to miss anything here. So first thing I want to tell you is that it is very, 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 very to the extent of extremeness that I do this entire system I'm going to talk to you every little step in 45 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the salient points. But what I'm going to do for all of my listeners right now is tell you in the description of this podcast, wherever you're listening to it, which, by the way, we stream on, when we record this, we stream on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're there and have questions and while we're live, just let me know. We've been recording these on Thursday mornings for a bunch of years with Peter's around, but lately we've been doing them on Saturday mornings. So if you have any questions, you can go to YouTube, type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, or you can go to Facebook, Flipping Houses for Rookies. Or if you're listening to this just on your regular podcast platform, just go in the description. There is a link there that will take you to a page where you can register for my free email course. It's a 14-day course. Every day you get a lesson, and every day it explains all these things I'm going to talk about today in detail, including giving you documents and forms and scripts and checklists and actual guides, step-by-step guides on how to do this. And it's all free. Now, why would I want to do something like that?
Good question.
I want people to do deals.
Absolutely.
Right? My world is the deal-making club.
Mm-hmm.
So my coaching is all around deal-making. I want everybody to be a coaching client. Not everybody. I want a good 20 or 25 people to be coaching clients. That's it. Right? And so to be a coaching client, you have to get out there and you have to get deals coming to you and you have to have questions about deal structuring. So this is a perfect way to get started. Okay? So Jess, we're just going to jump right in. If anybody has any questions on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever you're listening, just go ahead and type it in the chat and I can see it on my screen. So anyways, again, Jesse, I want to thank you for taking time on your Saturday morning. I know you're really busy. You got a couple jobs, you got a couple kids, you got a husband, you got blah, 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 all this stuff.
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly what it is.
Chip off the old block. And you keep yourself busy.
I do.
All right. So first thing I want to do is I want to talk about finding out your farm market. So how do you find a farm market? Okay. So I know a lot of people talk about this, but they're not on Bill's planet. Okay. So there's my grandson.
Yep. Sorry.
So let me explain what a farm market means to me and how I use it, right? Most think a farm market is where the properties are located, right? Kind of like a farmer that has a field he's going to grow corn in. There's boundaries, there's certain soil, there's certain ingredients within a restricted area in which he can grow his crop or raise his cows or chickens or pigs or whatever he has, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's called a farm market because it's a very specific, well isolated with certain ingredients involved. And if you use that area, it will constantly produce or harvest, as they say, results.
Right. Really targeted.
Yeah. But it's once you study it and understand it, it's a continuous, constant, low variable environment.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what most people call a farm market. Like, you advertise, or you work in a certain zip code or a certain section of town, or, a certain state, all that kind of stuff. Right. So, not on Bill's planet.
Bill's planet is always a special place.
Oh my God. I'm so used to it. I don't even notice it anymore, obviously, but
it's true.
Once I start talking about it, I'm like, huh.
We have to remind you, well, now we got to put on our helmets because we're on Bill's planet, not on, not with everybody else.
The only place to do a deal, listen to me, the only place, there's only one place to do a deal. That's in your seller's mind.
It's so true. You really have to get in their brain and start poking around.
If they don't agree, if they don't like you, they don't anything, one little thing, they will not go to a closing and sign the documents. Okay?
So true.
So a quick diversion, okay? A quick diversion, which we really don't have time for this, but I'm going to do a quick diversion. There's a difference between title, being on title, and deed. The title is the name of the person. It's the title. So like a title is king. A title is mom. A title is boss. So let's just take boss. So your title is boss. That gives you the right to do certain things when you're boss. When you're employee, you don't have those rights.
Correct.
When you have a title as a mom, you have certain rights that you don't have as a child.
Correct.
Right? Which, by the way, I think the only difference between an adult and a child is the amount of responsibility each has.
100%.
No other difference, right? So it's the same way with a boss. A boss has more responsibility. Employee has less responsibility. Okay? So the title gives you the rights to certain activity. The deed is the legal document recorded that says the person on title has allowed whatever action. So the deed is the manifesto or the legal document that has pronounced what the person that has the right to make decisions has done. And most of the time it's, they put the property in an entity, they put it in a trust, they put it in a partnership, or they have it in their own name. Right? Yeah. But they decided that their name, William Hawthorne, is on title. Okay, so that means I have the rights, but it's also on the deed. Okay, so knowing that, when you're talking to a seller, they have title rights. The only way they're going to change those title rights and give you a deed is if they agree with you.
Absolutely.
So the only place a good farm market is in your seller's mind. Okay. So that means it's not the property location, right? It's more like, is this seller motivated?
Yeah.
Are they willing to hear your choices of purchase? Are they willing to hear that? Because in the beginning, a seller does not want to sell. If I call you up, you have a house for sale, Jesse.
Yep.
And you're a for sale by owner, and I call you up, you do not want to sell me that house.
Yeah.
That is not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want me to make an offer, because if you're asking 200 and I only want to give 100, you won't want to do that.
No.
So sellers are cautious because they know they have this right to sell this property. So they're going to want to get what they want first.
Yeah. And I think in a lot of ways too, sellers build up like, well, this house is worth this. And they have a lot of stipulations sometimes because they think that they've earned it as
Right.
a seller, and they think that they're in the power position because they're the one with the asset. So you kind of have to think about that, I guess, when you're
Right.
talking.
So like a free and clear owner is a classic one. They spent 30 years making monthly payments, turning this house into a savings account. Now they got a $300,000 savings account. They're not just going to hand it over to you for $1,200 a month.
Sure.
Because it's their life savings.
Yep.
Okay, good. So if you want to work less, and get paid more, this is the law. You need to be in a farm market of like-minded people that are motivated sellers. So what you're looking for in a good farm market is a congregation of people that might think the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is how you're going to find properties, right?
Yeah.
Like divorce people,
Mm-hmm.
like job transfers,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Like foreclosure, right? I mean, these are the obvious ones. They're not ones that I chase. I personally like to market to out-of-area owners, which are people that have a tax bill that goes to a different location than the property with equity of 0 to 30%. That's a mindset. That's a farm market for me.
Right. And it's a different it's a different conversation too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's totally different than talking to somebody who's divorced, or, it's a different strategy.
Right. So there's a reason why I spend so much time on this, because this is the most important ingredient that almost every investor I ever meet doesn't get, right? Because here's what happens, right? This is like going to Alaska trying to sell Eskimos ice. They have plenty of it. Why do they want some? So what happens is investors go to places like the MLS, or they go and they aren't sending the message the seller wants to hear. The message is incongruent. It doesn't work. They don't want to hear that because they've heard that 9,000 other times from 9,000 other people. And unless it's price, the highest price, they don't want to hear the message. Okay? So you don't want to spend a lot of time trying to convince sellers to do something they don't want to do. That's the mistake most real estate investors make, is they're trying to convince somebody to do something they're not either aware of or unaware of or never heard of, or trying to, and believe me, I will tell you that works. For a guy like me who has done north of 4,000 or 5,000 presentations and bought hundreds of houses, I love those because I've got a lot of experience with those. But a person that hasn't done one deal yet, you're not good at that yet. You need to do thousands or minimally hundreds of presentations before you can even consider trying to get somebody to switch their thinking. In the beginning, what you need to do is you need to go to where people want to hear this message. They're already listening for you. They're waiting to hear you.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Absolutely.
Right? So don't try to convince somebody to do something they don't want to do.
Yeah. I think you really have to match your market.
Yeah. Try to change your spouse's mind on something. Right? Try to change your kid's mind on something.
Oh, God. It's
right?
hard to do. Yeah.
So why have that battle if you don't need it? All right. It's better to put your baited hook in water where fish like the bait that you have. All right. So real quick, here's how you find a farm market. You go to Facebook Marketplace, right? Go to Facebook Marketplace, and in Facebook Marketplace, you can see that there's a section called for rent, and that's for houses, right? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put in it asks you for a location. So you put your location in. It asks you for a zone, 50 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles. You put whatever you're comfortable with. And what you're looking for is a minimum, meaning no less than 50 properties. So you want more than 50 properties. Okay? If you have more than 50 properties for rent, and I'm not talking about apartments because I'm talking about single family houses or multifamily, depending on what you want to do, that's a good farm market for you.
Mm.
Which, by the way, you should do this with multiple areas, not just one. Okay? And you should do comparisons, like west side of town to east side of town, one like North Haven to East Haven type of thing. You know what I mean? Like compare them so you know this is where you want to be. Now, by virtue of going to the rental section, we're already in the mindset we were just talking about. We're in the farm market that we want because these owners are already of the mindset that they want to take a monthly payment.
Yep. Don't have to try to convince them of anything at that point.
Right. The only thing we're going to try to convince them of is once we're in the rental time period, they might want to sell to us. That's an uptick. That's not a convincing. That's like, yeah, I'll take 20,000 or 200,000 or whatever.
Sure.
Right. It's like an upsell. It's a value to them.
Yeah, absolutely. It won't take much to get them there.
Good. Good morning, Max. So, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So, we're going to move on. We spent a lot of time on that because honestly, that is the most valuable component of my entire system is that headspace. Understanding that, right? So finding motivated sellers easily. This is fairly simple because I just explained it to you. Go on to Facebook Marketplace. You put in the filters. Hang on one second. Excuse me. You put in the filters. The address where you want to be. The zone, 25 miles, 50 miles. And just put in there single family houses. You don't want apartments. You don't want all that kind of stuff, right? Just put single family houses in there. And this is going to be the hardest part, Jess.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. Listen to me. You ready?
Yeah.
Do not look at the houses.
Really?
Don't look at the houses. Don't go in and poke around and I like this one, I like that one, I don't like this one. Do not do that, please.
Wow.
Kills the whole thing. What I want you to do is I want you to go into the house and on Messenger, type this. Would you consider renting for a year or two and then selling it to me? And send the message.
That's it.
If they respond, you are now in the right farm market. You have a potential motivated seller. Looking at the house comes later. Right. What you want to do is qualify your motivated seller first.
Yeah.
Then look at the house. You can always say no if it's a piece of crap. I'm going to give you a quick example. One of my coaching clients in Israel has a property that we went over at our coaching call this week. That is it's worth $65,000. She owes $53,000. Willing to do a subject to, meaning she'll let us take over the mortgage payments and deed the house in her name. But the house needs about $40,000 worth of work. The tenant completely trashed the house. I mean, there's a whole room with cats in it and cat shit all over the floor.
Oh, no. That's the worst.
There's broken windows, all this stuff, right? So here's what we did. We didn't buy the house. What we did is we bought the financing. So we're going to have the seller sign all the documents, and then we're going to go sell potentially to another investor who will probably do the work themselves.
Right.
The paper.
Yeah.
And make $5,000.
Wow. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I think back to the good old days, right? Before we used Facebook Marketplace and all these other things. back in the very beginning, we would always call to qualify the seller, right? You'd have that first initial conversation.
Yep.
And, I think one of the best things that I've taken away is, you want to make sure they're motivated. You want to make sure they're not desperate, right? Because
Yep.
there's a difference between a motivated and a desperate seller. But
Yep.
you're vetting the seller before you even look at the house. So now that I think about it, that makes a ton of sense. I mean, Facebook is you're lucky because you've got a glimpse into the house. Before we used Facebook, we had no idea what the house even looked like before.
Or Zillow.
Or Zillow. I mean, we didn't use any of that stuff.
Yes. To me, this is what this is like. Okay.
Yeah.
Max is hungry and wants a, what do you call it, McDonald's? A Happy Meal.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
And I go to Burger King.
Yeah.
Or my wife says, go get some toilet paper, Bill. We're out of toilet paper. And I go to McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in my head, it's that obvious.
Yeah.
Until I have a motivated seller, I am not working on that deal. It's getting none of my time. None.
Well, yeah. And not only that, but you narrow your farm market, if you start looking at the houses, right? If there's only certain houses, pretty houses that you're willing to work with, you really narrow your market. I mean, I know we've done that. My husband looks at the house first before he sends any message to anybody. So what a
stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid. Now that I think about it, but it is really obvious, right? Like I would never see a house before I talked on the phone to a seller, 10 years ago when you started doing this, so that makes so much sense to me. And I can't believe I didn't notice that before.
So the farm market is inside your seller's head. So good for noticing that. All right, here we go. Let me catch up to my notes. Okay, so we did all that. Go to Facebook, you find it. Send messengers a photo. Would you consider renting a year or two? Okay, good. Now, here's one little note that I want to give to you because I just ran into this. I run on the first Wednesday of every month. I run a group called Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery. I do it the first Wednesday of every month. It's $97. And every month I show a different marketing strategy to find properties. So if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, go to courses, it's there if you're looking for it. But I had a client on that call this month, right? And he told me that he's on Facebook and he's giving messages like we're talking about, doing exactly what we're talking about, but he's not getting response. So this is very simple because my new, in my emails, if you're on my email list, I call it Facebook Flakebook. Okay. I've since changed my tune. I do not call them Flakebook anymore because it's really the advertising platform that's flaky because I use it all the time. No, my new name for them is To Facebook.
Oh, geez.
Okay. So here's the point.
Let's hear it.
What they do is they actually have a service where other companies pay to put these houses on Marketplace. So when you click on the picture, if there's not a messenger button, it is a paid ad that goes to a realtor about this property.
Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky.
So you can send messages to them and you will get responses, but I find it best to just send messenger messages because it goes right to the people. And you'll see they're different when you click on them. When you click on contact a person, the difference is on the bottom right-hand side, it'll say, you type in the message, it'll say save. Or when you click on the message, it'll ask you for your email. You shouldn't have to do that because Facebook already has your email. Okay, so this particular client that I had was sending too many of those messages. And let's face it, let's just bring out the pink elephant in the room. You call realtors and 95% of them don't call you back. Okay, just like for sale by owners, 95% of them just don't call you back. Okay, It is what it is. I don't make that. It's just an observation. You do it like I did for a whole bunch of time. It'll happen to you too. Okay, so if that happens to you, just realize you're better off sending messenger messages. Okay. All right, good. So now next step, we need to talk a little bit about the problem. The problem.
The capital E.
Yeah. The problem. Right? So fear. Mostly of talking to sellers.
Yep.
So for some reason, as a coach, I keep hitting this brick wall at 900 miles an hour too often.
Yep.
It's catastrophic for me, and often lose a coaching client over it. Okay. So Jessie was the very first person to ever tell me this so many years ago. I think she was probably, I'm going to guess, 18 or 19 years old. I don't know how old you were young.
Yeah.
And she is all nervous about having this conversation with me. I don't know if you remember this or not.
Yeah.
She says, Dad, I hate cold calling.
I hate it.
Everybody hates cold calling, Dad. Nobody likes it. You're a freak, Dad.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yep. That was a tough conversation. It's true though, because, here's the thing. I think the lesson that, well, I don't want to deviate too much from what you're going to say, but I felt like if you mess right, you've got this one shot, like you cold call. And if you mess it up, right, we're talking about being in the seller's brain. If you don't strike that chord right, you could lose out on a deal. Exactly. And I think that's why I hated it, is because it's like, you got to say the right thing. You got to, but I think after a while, you just, there's some calls that are just going to be practice calls, and that's okay. And there are plenty of deals out there to be made. And I think once I got past that hurdle, I still am not a fan of a cold call, but it made it easier to know that by messing up one call or two call or even 10 calls, for every 10 calls, there's another 10 out there that are waiting to be heard.
Right. That's exactly right. And if you do some of the stuff we're talking about and you understand, in marketing, they call it the avatar, like the mock-up or the makeup of this person, you'll completely understand it. Okay, so I'm looking for this specific thing that I wrote in here, and I can't seem to find it, so I'm just going to pop it in right now. All right, so first thing I want to talk about with fear, okay, is these people advertise the house they want you to call them. Number one.
You forget that, right? Like.
Number two, if you're texting them, it will warm up the conversation and you'll understand them. The reason why you are afraid to cold call is because you're trying to protect your feelings. You don't want to get hurt. Mm-hmm. Or you don't want to get you don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Or not know what to say and look like a fool in front of the other person. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep. It's true. It's so funny we're talking about this. I'm a professor at a community college, and we were just talking about in class yesterday about ethos, pathos, and logos, right? This is the idea that in order to build a good argument, you need emotion, you need logic, and you need credibility. And I think that's so important when you're building the cold call. You want to build that credibility right away, and you want to earn the trust of a seller. I think that's really important. Ooh, what's that?
That's the book I was telling you about.
I love it. I love it. The Art of Living.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I haven't read it yet. I just got it. I got a few other things I'm in the middle of reading. So,
Yeah.
anyways, this is so true, right?
Yep.
Now, here's the bombshell. This was the one sentence I told you I could teach you how to do this in a week.
Here it is. Drum roll, please.
I know the answer because I'm your father, but I'm going to ask the question kind of rhetorically so others could answer it for themselves.
Okay.
Jesse, have you ever rented a place to live yourself in the past?
Yes, I have.
So that means you had a landlord.
Mm-hmm.
That means you signed a lease. And that means you did a real estate transaction.
So true.
You know how to do this. That's all you need to know. You are going to go find sellers that will sign a rental agreement with you and a one-page option agreement saying that within the year or two that I have this lease, if I can get a mortgage or find someone to get a mortgage, I want to buy it for this dollar amount. That's it.
Full stop.
Done. You know how to do this.
So true.
Why are you trying to educate yourself with all the things that you need to say and all the scripts and all this stuff when you've already done it? You already know what to do. Just duplicate or rinse and repeat what you did when you rented the apartment when you were younger or in the past.
Brilliant.
You're
really
just going to do that.
Right. Right.
And then when you find one, you're going to sublease it to somebody else and you're going to become the landlord. Or you're going to take your buyer, your renter, and your landlord and put them together and just make a fee for doing it.
Yep.
You're just moving paperwork around. You're not buying and selling hop. You're buying and selling, motivated seller, motivated buyer, and you're matchmaking them.
Yep. Matchmaker.
Right? Okay. So let me see. So you're going to start messaging people, right? Okay, we did all that. So it's not cold calling. That's the point.
Yeah.
Right? You're actually calling somebody that wants to talk to you, and you've already done this in the past, so you know what to say, how to say it, you know, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, you know, blah, blah, blah. And as if you were going to rent the house yourself. Now, don't let that stop you because you wouldn't rent it. You think others wouldn't rent it. What you're looking for is something that is marketable to the most amount of people.
Sure.
So just because it's got a highway behind it and you wouldn't live there doesn't mean others wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, and I think that goes back to what you were saying before with the pictures. I still can't believe that blows my mind. Like, why would I let the pictures stop me from buying the house?
Right. Especially if you're not going to live there.
Correct. I'm not looking for me. I'm looking for somebody else. And especially in this market, I mean, everybody's looking. Everybody's out there putting feelers out there. It's
exactly
huge. Yeah.
All right. So there's a problem, Jess.
Oh boy.
I have to, as a coach, I have to address this problem. We have this thing in society called the thinker brain. My youngest daughter, your little sister, is one of them. We call her Emma, the geek.
Yep.
They're stuck inside their own head.
Mm-hmm.
They actually think they're smarter than us,
mm-hmm.
and have all of these ideas that we may not be thinking of preset in their mind to tell others about, so they're protected.
Yep.
Okay, I understand these people.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that they are different than we are, and I respect that.
Takes all kinds.
So for those that are listening, I will tell you, if you go into the description of this podcast and click on the link, I have all the scripts ready to go. So if you are worried about what to say and how to say it, go download the scripts. There is a text script for Facebook Messenger, and there is a verbal script for when you get on the phone.
Yeah, and I found that using the scripts for me was so helpful, especially when you get started cold calling. After a while, you kind of learn what to say and how to say it. And, just like anything, it takes practice because there really is an art to it. But, it's the scripts really helped for the thinker brain kind of person who just wants, that's my husband. My husband is that way. And he lives and dies by a script if he needs it.
Right. All right. So let's move on to the next step. And this is huge. This is huge. I would like for you right now to hire the best coach on planet Earth.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to tell you who that is. The best coach on planet Earth.
Oh boy, that's a.
I want you to agree in your mind right now that you'll hire him or her.
Okay.
That's you. So here's what I want you to do. With the advent of smartphones, every smartphone has a recording device on it. So every phone call and every presentation or every house you go into, record yourself talking to that person. Now, do you have to disclose your recording? I have never done it in 20 years. I don't sell them. They're for educational purposes for myself. I've never had a problem. And here's what happens. So first of all, when I'm at my desk and I'm using my cell phone, I use a free software called Audacity. How do you spell that? Audacity. Anyways, you can figure it out. It's audacity.com or .org, I think. What I do is I put my cell phone on speaker, and on my computer, I just record the conversation. Okay? When I'm in a house, I just put my phone on record, and I just carry my phone around with me. The reason why you're going to do this is because you are going to want to listen to yourself talking to somebody. And you yourself will think, why did I say that? Or I sucked. I didn't answer his question. I missed that. And you will coach yourself into a better state of perfection than I could ever do.
It's so true.
Okay? You will be your best coach. Okay? All right. So the one thing I want to talk about is, before we leave this topic and go on to the next, I want to talk about going in the house. So the point of every step of the process has stop doing that, move on. So step one is stop doing step one, move on to step two, like a line in the dirt. I call it an end phenomenon.
Yep.
In other words, it's like you hit the bullseye, keep moving. If you didn't hit the bullseye, then keep looking for the bullseye and don't move on until you get it.
Right.
So when you're texting somebody or messaging somebody, the object is to get them on the phone. When you're on the phone with them, the object is to make an appointment to go see the house. When you're in the house, the object is for new people, not for me, but the object is to study your seller. Understand your seller. Don't try to buy the house. Just go in the house, talk to them, get your recording, get your education. If you do that minimum 3 to 5 times, you will be a lot better at this than you imagine. Mm-hmm. So here's my point. I have in my free 14-day email course an absolute, positively stunning, phenomenal, outrageous document that I created for my coaching clients. It's called the in-house checklist. It explains what you're supposed to do in the house. It's got a 5-page checklist of things that you need to look at while you're in the house. And the purpose of that is not for repairs. The purpose of that is because I, even to this day, have missed things in a house. Like one time I was in a house and it was a bank-owned house and they took the furnace out. And it took me 20 minutes to realize there was no furnace in this house. There was no heat in this house. There's no heat in this house at all, right? And the bank intentionally did it. They're scumbags. But my point is, I didn't recognize. They took all the pipes out, all the ductwork out. Everything was gone. No furnace. Yeah. Like they're going to get away with it. Like there's not going to be an inspection and they're going to say, oh, there's no furnace. Right?
Like you're not going to catch that at some point, right?
So the purpose of this form is to make you look smart by asking, where is this and where is that? Now, I have coaching clients in Israel that do this virtually. This works perfect virtually because what we do is we have somebody FaceTime us and we ask them, go show me this and go show me that. And you just go right down the checklist. So it looks like you're 100% professional inspector. Then when you're all done, it tells you to go find a place to sit down, either in the living room or the bedroom. Bedroom. I don't know why I said the living room or the kitchen. I don't know why I said bedroom. And it gives you 6 or 8 questions to ask them and room to write down the answer. And then it asks you to repeat the answer to the seller to make sure you wrote it down correctly. And then at the very end, I have a couple magical sentences that allows you to leave the house without obligation of buying. This document is a golden document.
Yeah.
You get it for free. Just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/email course and you get it. flippinghousesforrookies.com/email course. It's in there. It's a 14-day email course, or just go in the description of this podcast wherever you're listening to it and click on the link. So that's the appointment in the house. It's completely covered there. Now you're going to make a deal, right? The other big issue that I hear a lot about from people that don't go in houses and want to talk to me about it, these thinker brains, is what about the paperwork? What about the paperwork? How do I get the paperwork?
Oh boy. Yeah.
Here you go. You ready? I'm not going to make a long deal about this because we spent a lot of time on the earlier stuff. I used to tell you go on Google and type in your city, state, and just put on their lease option forms, and you will get a form. I don't tell you that anymore because the number one thing that pops up, there are other places, but a site called eForms. So you can do one of the two. You can type in, Wallingford, Connecticut, lease option forms, or lease option documents, or wherever you live. And there's 2 or 3 sites in there, but eForms is the powerhouse. Mm. You go to eForms, you download the lease option document for your backyard. It's for your city, for your state, so it's legal there. You download that document and you fill it out. You just read it and fill it out. Ta-da! Oh no, it gets better than that. Then once you're done with the document, you go over to this little website called Legal Shield. And it costs $25 a month to have an attorney help you with your documents. So you pay $25 and you take this little lease option document you filled out. You get an attorney in your state and you send in your lease document forms to see if they're legal.
Bada bing, bada boom. All done.
But Jess.
Yeah.
You think that's pretty clever?
I think that's extremely clever.
You do?
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Why?
Why is it clever?
No. Why are we doing this?
Why are we getting an attorney to do all of the paperwork and
right, exactly.
Security.
We went on Facebook and we found a landlord that says he or she is willing to lease to us for a year or 2 until we can pay them off. And they agreed, right?
Right.
We looked at the property and liked the property.
Yeah.
We went through our checklist. Everything's good.
Yeah.
And we said, yes, I want it.
Yep.
Who do you think is going to write the lease? The landlord. He already has a lease. He's already been to his attorney. He's already got a lease.
Right.
Why are we worried about the documents?
That's a great question.
So, okay, you thinker brains are worried about it. Take his document, spend the $25 to Legal Shield, and send it into Legal Shield and have them review it for you for $25. Mm-hmm. Take your landlord's contract, send it into Legal Shield, and say, I'm thinking about renting this place. Can you check it out for me?
Yeah.
Hello? Who's doing the documents now?
Right. Right.
You get why I get wound up about this. Because these concerns that people have that haven't done deals are not real.
Right.
So, AKA, the problem they have is with the most valuable piece of real estate that they own is where the problem is.
Right.
Between their ears.
Yep. And I
think
that
piece of real estate is a little bit contaminated.
Yep.
Because they think all these things are going to happen, but they don't.
Yep. Yep. I think, you know, one of the best pieces of advice that you've given me in general, and when it comes to real estate and when it comes to life, just do the next step.
Yep.
Because there are so many ways that things can play out, and there's so many scenarios. And as a control freak myself, right? Like, we want to be in control of it, right? Like, we want to know, how is this going to play out? We want to be ready for any scenario just in case, but you can't be that way. Just do the next step. And if it's meant to be, if it's a good deal, it will work out. It will work out.
Exactly. And the seller, to your point, the seller will be very acceptable to, you know, Jess, I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
Give me a day or so. Let me go figure it out and I'll come back. I have friends. I have a mentor. I have blah, 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 blah. And I'll get back to you. And they'll respect you more for that.
Right. Exactly. Don't try to you know, I don't know if I can
bullshit. Yeah.
Don't try to bullshit them. You know, if it's the right seller, it will.
So text subject, you're saying how you going, brother? I think you're saying how you doing. Just clarify for that, because I want to make sure you don't have a question on something we're talking about here. I am doing a lot better if that's the question. Okay. So thank you for asking. All right. All right. So I was just going to bring something up, but I forgot what it was. The next step.
Yeah. Just do the next step. Don't get caught up in the what ifs and the, you know, it's hard though, because, you know, you see those dollar signs, right, of a potential deal, and you see the potential and you don't want to mess it up. But coming from somebody who's followed you around for how many years now? 10 years. I mean, that's
just because of your age.
Right. Right. I mean, it's true.
In the beginning, I'll tell you how I started real estate with Jesse. Dad, did you put those signs out in front of the school? Yeah, why? You're embarrassing me. You can't put those signs up in front of the school.
Yeah. So
the next day, I took about 40 signs and I put them all over her bus route. So when she went to school, she had to see like 40 signs.
I was in high school. And people are like, is that your dad? Is that your dad's sign? Yes. Wait, can I share one quick story?
Sure.
Very quick. So there was one point where I was wheeling and dealing with Dad, and, you know, I wasn't making my calls, and he kept saying, Jess, come on, Jess, come on, Jess, come on. So I'm driving home from work one day, and same kind of thing. I see all of his signs. Literally, he took my commute home. He drove my commute and put signs saying, "Wake up! Hello, I'm in your backyard. I'm gonna steal your properties." You know,
steal your deals. And I actually got a deal.
Your deals. You did. You got a couple of deals because I was living in North Branford at the time.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah,
I actually got a couple deals in North Branford.
Yep.
Say, see.
Yes, he infiltrated my farm market.
All right. So now we're just about out of time. So I can't go over how to sell the properties. But my 14-day email course has the step-by-step on how to sell the properties. Okay, it's all free. I mean, this is totally for you. If you don't want to go get the course, I'm totally cool with it. I did it for you because until you start doing some deals or deal structuring, you don't need me. And I want you to need me. So go do some deals. At least go talk to sellers. Okay? There is no better education in the world than for you to get in front of 3 to 5 sellers. Don't try to buy the house. Don't try to do anything except just absorb your seller and record yourself and hear yourself, which, by the way, remember that in-house form that I told you about?
Yeah.
At the very bottom of the form, I ask you to listen to your recording. And I have a space there to list all the things you were good at and all the things you were bad at, what you thought. The things that you need help with, that's where you spend your education money. Don't just go willy-nilly, hire a bunch of coaches and a bunch of people to teach how to do real estate when you don't even know what you need to be taught.
Right.
This will narrow or hone in where you think you are weak.
Mm-hmm.
It's like saying, Jess, I want to buy a car.
Yeah. Right.
What kind? I don't know. One that takes me to work.
Get more details, right? Before you can, yeah.
So you need to figure that out. All right. But I'm going to give you a few quick pointers so you know that we have this totally covered and you don't have to worry about it. You get all the details in the free email course. So go there and get it. First thing you need to know is a vast majority of my houses that are sold are on Facebook Marketplace. All I do is I take pictures, 8 to 10 pictures, I think they allow on Facebook. I take one picture of the outside, mostly of the inside. So this is a Pete, which he'll be back pretty soon. I talked to him the other day. He's coming back pretty soon. So Pete the Rookie will be back soon. He made this observation some years ago that when you have a vacant house or a vacant piece of property, and the buyer comes in and walks around, and they look in the bedroom. What does the bedroom got in it? A closet.
Yep.
They look at another bedroom. What does the bedroom get in it? A closet. Right? They look at the basement. It's got a furnace. Right? So the only 2 rooms in the house that change or have any multiple to them is the kitchen and the bathrooms. Right? So the kitchen and the bathrooms are the only thing in a house that a buyer looks at, in a vacant house, that a buyer looks at that has, once they look at 1 or 2 bedrooms, they got it. They're just looking at size. Is it big enough to put my bed in there?
Yep.
That's it. And if you got a house that has big bedrooms, you don't have to worry about that.
Yep.
So they're looking at the kitchen and the bathroom. So what do we take pictures of?
The kitchen and the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah.
You take a picture. Oh my goodness. Too much yelling and screaming. You take a picture of a bedroom so they can see how big it is, which they can't tell in a picture.
Right.
And take a picture of all the goodies, like a walk-in closet.
Yep.
A walk-out basement.
Right.
Something like that. You take a picture that is different than all the other pictures that they see.
Yeah. That's what sells a house, is a kitchen and a bathroom.
Exactly right. And Pete does a great job of just staging it a little bit.
Yeah.
Putting a coffee maker there, putting a towel next to the sink, having something like a little flower up on the ledge of the window, a rug in front of the sink. You don't need much, just a little bit so the imagination can be enticed.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So we put pictures on Facebook Marketplace. We also do it on Zillow. But hear me loud and clear. We do not put houses on Zillow under the for sale by section. We put them under the rental section.
Interesting.
If we put them in the for sale by, we do not sell the house. And here's the reason why. What we're going to put in the ad, the only sentence that you need to put in the ad is house for sale, no bank qualifying.
It's a magic sentence right there.
Yeah. Now, you could also use house for sale, seller financing, but the no bank qualifying pulls about 7 or 8% more than the other one does in almost every case. All right? You will have more leads than you know what to do with. If you put it on Facebook and you put it on Zillow for rent. Okay? If for some reason you're in a rural area and you don't get enough leads, you can boost the ad in Marketplace for, $5 or $10 a day. I always list my ads for like a 2-week period, and I just spend $50 to boost them. So I just throw $50 at them, and that's it. I will tell you that this works well, but not great.
Yeah.
And I go through this with my partner, Sean, who is 25 or 26 years old, and AKA a millennial, right? And wants to sit behind his desk all day long and buy and sell houses, which is great, except it doesn't always work. So I will tell you my personal experience is the way to sell a house quickly is to use signs. So we put about a dozen signs around the neighborhood that says house for sale, no bank qualifying, and we use a free recorded message. Okay? If you want to know how to do all of that, where I buy my signs, the message on the machines, all that is in the 14-day email course. Because we're at an hour now, and I've only hit the tip of the iceberg. This course is superb. This course should be charged for. I have had coaching clients go through this course and rave about it. I've had I don't know what else to say. It's all there. Okay. So, I think that's it. So if you wanna do deals for $100 bill, that's all the money you have in the deal. If you want to have no obligations to buy, no risk of losing your life savings, you can't get sued, you can't get the tax man chasing you, right? You really want to get the rights to the property and assign them to somebody else, like we're talking about in this course. And this 14-day course does all that for you. So yes, it's going to take you 14 days to go through the training, but then in a week, you can actually find a house and do a deal.
Absolutely.
Now, Jess, we are at 1 hour, 2 minutes. I'm going to take the next 2 minutes and explain the strength of what I just told you by giving you a transaction that I just did.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're going to bug out of here. Now, I'm going to go over my time. I'm already 15 minutes over. But I think this warrants the listeners. It's a benefit for my listeners.
Yeah.
I bought 3 years ago 3 multifamily houses. A 3-family, 2 2-families. 2 different cities. I paid the owner $100 for the 3-family to do a master lease option agreement. So I leased the properties from him with an option to purchase. The other 2 houses were in another city, and they were on the same mortgage, so I wrote one master lease option for both properties. I paid $100 for it.
Yeah.
I had those properties for 3 years, and I was making $2,000 a month for 3 years.
Yep.
So let's just say that one whole year I paid maintenance and I had expenses, which I did not. So let's just take 1 year away out of the 3 years. So for 2 years, I collected $2,000 a month for 24 months, which is $48,000.
Yes, it is.
I just sold the 3-family house and made like $100 and something thousand off of it. I took that money and did a 1031 exchange, which means I don't pay taxes on my profit. And I bought the other 2 properties. One I own free and clear. It's a $200,000 2-family house I own free and clear. And the other one, I convinced my seller to give me a mortgage for $60,000, which was the balance, $60,000 for 5% interest. That's also a $200,000 property.
Yep.
I invested $200 to do that, had no risk. I could have walked away anytime I wanted to.
That's a pretty sweet deal, man. I don't know who wouldn't want that deal.
And here's the thing. You know, they don't have to believe. You're my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You've been around, obviously, 30 years in my life. I'm 57. You've been around 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the only time you've heard me tell a story like this.
No.
I've done deals for you like that.
Yes, you have.
So,
yes, you have.
So the point that I'm trying to make is that not that I'm a superhero, not that I'm even a smart guy. I'm going to tell you what made my success. I got in houses and talked to sellers, and I figured it out. I had enough balls to just go talk to somebody and do what the people that are teaching me, like I'm teaching you now, said without injecting my own ideas. My philosophy was always, if I'm going to have somebody coach me, I'm going to do exactly what they say, the way they say it. If it doesn't work, I'm going to go back and say, what did I do wrong? Now, if I do that a few times and it doesn't work, now I start thinking, how do I improve it? But I give the person that's teaching me the benefit of the doubt that they know what they're doing and they have done it and they should be able to tell me what to do. I'll do it 2, 3, 4 times to make sure that they're wrong before I do my own way. I don't inject my own crap until I have to. Or until I start doing deals and I see a better way to do it.
Yep.
And that's how I do it.
Brilliant.
So don't forget to go in your description section. The link for the free email course is there. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for all the support tickets while I was ill. Obviously, I'm doing much better now. You can tell, other than my cough, but that comes and goes. And Jesse, thank you very much for your help today.
Of course.
Obviously, you're my daughter, and I'm crazy about you. But, you have a great life, and I really appreciate the fact that you're here and helping me. I'm more than anything, I'm so proud of you because of the real estate transactions that you've done, because you have listened and you have learned.
Yeah,
okay?
Without a doubt.
Good. I have a couple new guest speakers coming up the next couple weeks, and hopefully after that, Pete will be back. With that said, sorry it's a long time today, but over and out. Enjoy your week. If you have any questions, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right-hand side is support. I answer all those support tickets myself. Have a good week.